Okay.
Yeah, hold on. 'Cause then I can really nobody.
You still there? Yep. Still there? You can hear me? I can't hear you. You froze. There you
You
go.
can hear me?
Okay,
You
yeah,
good?
yeah. Yeah, we good, we good. All right. We want to welcome everybody to another episode of Levi's Youth Sports Talk. And today we got somebody from the Georgia area, the head coach of Mojo 2012 Raysor. Want to welcome Imari Raysor to the show. Did I say that right? I said
That's
everything
right,
right?
man. That
Okay,
is
man.
correct. That's all
Just
that's
want to
good.
make just
It's
want
all
to make
good.
sure. Before we start, man, I want to thank Steve Aguado for sponsoring the banner y'all see behind me. I know it's a little different scene behind me. Thanks to Steve Aguado for sponsoring that banner for me. And man, so Imari, man, say you from Pennsylvania, but now you live in
Yeah.
the Georgia area, man. Want to start out, man, talk about your upbringing and what sport you played growing up.
Yeah, man. First of all, Levi, I want to say really appreciate the opportunity to come
Mhm.
on. Really respect what you're doing of providing this vehicle for our youth. And so it's always cool to have these type of conversations in this type of environment. But yeah, originally from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Grew up in North Philadelphia in the inner city. So if you know about Broad Street, if you know about Temple University, if you know about Allegheny Avenue, that's where I grew up. So I grew up in the inner city of North Philadelphia, and I think that's where those characteristics are resiliency, discipline, competitive was really instilled into me growing up in the inner city. Right. I lived in Philadelphia until I went to high school, and so going into my eighth grade year, started to get a little bit confident. I lived in Philadelphia with my mom. My mom and dad never married, so I lived in Philadelphia with my mom and my younger brother. And so it was to that age where I started to mature and become, I would say, independent, not following my mom's direction. My dad made the transition, and I moved to Stone Mountain, Georgia, and that's where I grew up. Um, all throughout my childhood, played a lot of sports, baseball, basketball, but my number one love was football. And I played football from the time I was 6 years old to the time all the way through high school. So when I made the transition to Georgia, football continued to be my love. Just love the teamwork, love the environment, the discipline, etc. And my dad always told me if I didn't make good grades, I couldn't play football. And I think that's when I really committed myself. But also it was the discipline as well. Um, and so played football, played rec league, played high school. Went to Stone Mountain High School here in the suburban Atlanta here, and I got a football scholarship. And so I played quarterback and wide receiver. And so when you think about quarterbacks, right? Quarterbacks are all about being leaders on the field, right?
Mhm.
They always know about the process and what everybody does. You got to be able to have some intelligence of reading the defense and the preparation process. I love the preparation process. And so played football. And in high school, I also played baseball and basketball, but it was my main love was football. And so after high school, got a scholarship to Lane College, Jackson, Tennessee, which is a historically black college. Played football there all 4 years of college. And again, the environment of the historically black college played in the SIAC. So we played Clark Atlanta, we played Texas Southern. So I
Mhm.
remember going down there and playing in Texas in Rice Stadium, having those type of games. And then after 4 years of college, knew I wasn't going to the NFL, but could just continue my education. Graduated undergraduate with a computer science degree, and then moved back to Atlanta and finished my master's degree at Kennesaw State. And so that is my undergraduate. That's my college life, and that's the transition out of college. When I left college, back and got into the workforce, working on my master's, still played flag football. That's just the
Mhm.
competitive nature of me. Played in competitive flag football leagues, and so continue to play. Love to stay in shape. I'm big on consistency. Work out pretty much every day of the week. Got my workout in today. Work some upper body, but
Okay.
always trying to stay in shape. Right, health is wealth to me, and I keep that mentality with the softball team. Um, and then I started having children, right? You continue to grow up, you get older, right? You get
Yeah.
mature. And so um, I'm blessed to have three kids. I have a 14-year-old Gabby, 2010. I have Belly, my 2012, who's on my team. And then I have a son, Caleb, that's 8 years old. He'll be nine this Wednesday on November 20th. And I really didn't know about the softball game, to be brutally honest. I'll
Mhm.
tell you, and here's a funny story of how I got into softball. So again, the competitor, me, my wife as well. I've been married 18 years here to my beautiful wife, Ariane. But we wanted to get the girls in athletics, right?
Mhm.
And just get them active. We tried gymnastics, we tried swimming class, we tried ballet. And my wife played softball. And my wife was like, let's put Gabby in softball. And we put Gabby in softball. And I remember I go out to the tryouts, and when we grew up as kids, all you had was a bat and glove. I come to the
Yeah.
tryouts, they're like, "Where's the helmet? Where's your chest protector?" And I'm like, "You guys don't supply none of this stuff." And so it was funny, right? So I'm borrowing equipment, and again, Gabby's 6 years old. So Gabby's born in 2010. So this is 2016, and so
Mhm.
Gabby's going through her tryouts, and playing at Mountain View Rec Association here in Lawrenceville, Decula area where I live at now. And she makes the team, and so I'm like, okay, and I'm sitting as a parent trying to understand how softball is played. And Gabby is in the outfield. Yes, as a 6-year-old,
Right.
5-year-old looking at the airplanes and
Mhm.
birds. I was like, oh, we ain't gonna make it. We ain't gonna make it. And I think Levi, we gave it 2 seasons. The first season, it's like, okay, she has to understand the game. I got to figure this out with her, how softball is played. Yeah, I played baseball, but I play softball. Rules are totally different.
Mhm.
Everything's different. And she had a really good coach that really leaned into her, but we just didn't understand the game. And so that's when I started to really try to learn it, right? And so
Yeah.
the first season was rough, right? She didn't know what she was doing. I didn't know what I was doing. And then the second season came, and she's still looking in the sky in the outfield. And halfway through the season, it was like a light clicked. It was like, okay, we got something here. We got a heartbeat. We got a pulse.
Mhm.
And so it was like, okay. And she started to really like the game, started to hit the ball off the tee, running bases, and really having fun with it. And that's when me, the competitive competitor in me, was like, all right, Gabby, time let's get some work. And so started to really watch the game, understand the game, understand the principles of like T work, right?
Mhm.
Understanding that you need fundamentals, and started to really invest in my oldest daughter in terms of her, and really learning the game there. And so she continued to progress in the game. And at this time, Bailey, my 2012, is sitting in the stroller just watching her older sister outside the fence. And then I'll get these random asks from the coaches. Hey, can you help coach? And I'm like,
Uh-oh.
okay, I don't know what I'm really doing, but okay. And I'll go help. And then I remember this so vividly. The coach was like, yeah, I can't make the game. I need someone to help pitch and line the girls up. And I had to pitch a game. You got to do the coach pitch. And so I did that. I'm like, okay, this is pretty cool. And just
Mhm.
continue to really lean and understand the game, right? Doing research, watching some of the Meg Rim, the Meg Rim. She have
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I watched
her
them
little
too.
yep, YouTube channel. I was on there, talking with other coaches. And then we had a coach that came to the park that was really into the travel game. I didn't even know what travel was until probably Gabby turned 8. So 2018, 2019. Didn't know what the travel world was, but I knew Gabby was accelerating.
Mhm.
And the coach really came to me and said, "Hey, have you ever thought about putting her in travel?" I was like, "I don't know what travel is," and they was like, "Oh, it's like AAU." Okay, AAU. I know AAU basketball.
Mhm.
Okay, so it's a higher level. Then is when you start getting introduced to like composite bats, right? So I'm
Price
watching the girls
shooting
hit
up.
yeah, correct, yeah, right. I got the $35 bat from Dick's, and
Hmm.
you go to a travel tournament, it's like, oh, what's a composite bat? Oh, the Eastern Ghost. Oh, you got to get this, right? But then started to learn that piece of it, right? Learning the travel
Hmm.
game, and we let her play, and she did pretty good as a first time going to travel. She didn't excel, right? I didn't prepare for it, but then
Hmm.
understand the travel game, and then I was like, okay, now this is a higher level, and so working again with Gabby, my oldest, we're getting out in the field, right? We're going through the fundamentals, how you attack the ball, showing them the triangle, glove out front, right? Back in the tee, start getting on the pitching machine, and started doing all of that, right? And she started to get
Hmm.
better. And then we started a travel program. She got onto a travel program, which was a ladies' bear program. And the coach asked me to help out. And that's when I really started to get to introduce into the travel game of coaching. And then learning that piece with my oldest daughter. And that's where I really started to grow through the oldest one. It's like, okay, I'm seeing what she's doing, I'm seeing how she's practicing and taking all those learnings, right? And I'm
Yeah.
starting to build my plan. And I was like, I got to get better. And so as she's going through her growth and her learning through the travel, I started to go through my growth and learning. So then I started going to coaches camps. Like, okay,
Hmm.
let's go to
Okay.
University of Alabama. Let's sit down to the Alabama coaches camp. And then we go to University of Tennessee coaches camp. And we're going to sit down and do that. And then I started to get on these Facebook pages and start learning from these other travel coaches of how to develop and train your kid for the travel program. And it's been a fluid process. To me,
Mhm.
it's just like football, where the learning, the growing, the development is continuous. And I'll tell you, even as a current coach, and so as I continue to go through the process, my oldest started to get a little bit too better than me, right? We had a great travel coach here. I was like, you got a great coach. I'm gonna let you go. And now my 2012 Belly starts learning the game. And I
Mhm.
kept her in the rec program. I was like, okay, I want you to learn the game. I want you to learn how to play it. I want you to understand the acumen, the base running. And I kept her in. And then COVID hit, right? So that's
Mhm.
when COVID program stopped. And then I was encouraged by a friend of mine as our rec program stopped, and like, hey, we need to start looking at travel. And so, no coaches really in our era wanted to take on the travel program. And, I just stepped up and said, hey, I would love to take this on. But I'm big, and as most leaders are, I'm big on commitment. So when I took this on, I said, I'm gonna give 100%, right?
Mhm.
I can't give 50, I can't give 25. I'm only 100%. I stand on the business of giving 100% effort, commitment, integrity, everything to the program. And so when I took on this program, probably was 21, 22, we started with our rec girls. We brought them over. We started to do some travel, start on the low level travel circuit,
Mhm.
getting them their skills acclimated, letting them understand the game, and again, me as a coach, I'm still learning. You know, I'm still learning how to structure the team. How do you recruit? How do you market? Right. I'm learning everything about softball to make myself
Yeah.
better and and really grow the team and grow the brand. And so
Mhm.
we started out as Mountain View Lady Bears as a program. And we did very well. We were winning these low end tournaments. We would come mid level and we would compete. And then people would start to, ask me, "Are you the coach of that team?" And like that Mountain View Ladies Bear team, I'm like, yeah, you know. And then I started to learn about these national programs, right?
Uh-oh.
Here in Georgia, right? I don't know nothing about these national programs. I'm learning the game again. I'm learning all this on the go, so it's a very
Mhm.
fluid process. So I'm learning. We had these big programs, Atlanta Premier, Georgia Power, and all these big programs. And I'm just this local Mountain View Lady Bears that nobody knows about. And so, an opportunity came up with Mojo, as we started to gain momentum. We started winning. And I'll give a shout out to one program, Ryan. I know he's very active, but
Very
they had this
active.
team. Yeah, they had this team called Fury, and Fury was like this dominating team that was out of Tennessee that we used to always play. And I was
Mhm.
always mesmerized of how athletic and competitive there was. And so I used to talk to their coach. Shout out to Casey. really good dude. I would call him on the side. How do you build your team? What are you guys doing? What the hell am I not doing that you can get your girls to hit like that? Your girls are not even wearing face masks in the infield. How do you build that confidence? And so I will be tapping into all these different coaches, right? Getting their
Mhm.
nuggets. In addition, I'm doing my research. In addition, I'm going to these coaching clinics, right? I'm getting all these jewels and I'm just building up the team. I'm building up my acumen. I'm building up my credibility. And it's just been that process. I'm all about process, Levi. It is a process from start to finish. But then we get over to Mojo, and we start to be very competitive. And I'm starting to learn how to recruit and market, and and starting to get some good pieces to the team. And we start getting one piece here, and one piece here, and
Mhm.
one piece here, and the team starts to get very competitive.
Yeah.
Like, okay, now we got something, and it's just been that process. But there's a couple of things I'll tell you that I'm really big on, and really to talk through it is that, I'm big on infrastructure and foundation. That's what Mojo, the organization, is on. We have this big thing saying "we over me."
Mhm.
Like I said, I'm in football. Football has 100 people. I love
Right.
football. 100 guys got to be on the same accord, pointing towards the same goal.
Mhm.
It's okay. Hey, in football, you're 4 or 5 deep at every position. You're
Right.
competing, but
Yeah.
we're a family. We got the same goal. And so
Mhm.
that was the same mentality that I took with what I loved about Mojo and how I built this 2012 team is that we're big on infrastructure and family, right?
Mhm.
No one person is bigger than the team. The parents cheer louder for the other kids and their kids, right? And so we're really big on that from a team in terms of that. Other one that where I'm really big on for me is integrity and trust, right? I'm not the big person that's going to be out on social media. I don't post too much on social media outside of being recruiting or about the team. It's all about the team and what I post about them. And so I'm really big on just the trust, the integrity,
Mhm.
and what we learned coming to Arkansas playing with you guys. Discipline is critical when you playing these great teams, the hustle teams, the Indiana Magic, the IGs, the Vipers, whatever. All these teams are great. You got to be disciplined. And so we
Yeah.
have really started to lean into the discipline of the team and how do we be consistent like that. And then I'm big on goals, right? My motto is, hey, shoot for the stars, land on the moon. So we're going to shoot big. We're going to
Mhm.
go big, right? And we're going to fall, but we're going to land on that moon and we're going to land on some great things there in terms of that, of how we're going to run that team. But that's just a little bit of background about me, background about how this all started
Yeah.
and where we're at with Mojo, which I'm a big fan and love where we're currently at in this current situation here.
Mhm.
So
And
hopefully
so,
that's a little bit.
oh no, you good. Yeah, that gave good. Guys gave a good, great start. Great start to it, man. I ain't
I'm
got
trying.
into
I'm
it.
trying.
I haven't
Let's
got
go,
into it
man.
yet.
Let's go. Let's go.
Hey, so you talk about Mojo, and like you said, you had all the other organizations that that's out there. You mentioned them, Georgia Power, the
Yep.
Atlanta Vipers. All them
Mhm.
that's over there. Like,
Yeah.
what made you choose Mojo out of all those other ones?
Yeah. I'll say a couple of things. Mojo, their I'll say core principles align with my core principles. Right. One
Hmm.
is family. Right.
Yeah, okay.
All about family, right? In terms of that was really critical. It had again, like I said, my non-negotiables are trust, integrity, family. I'm really big on that. Again, growing up through football, that's really big in the sports of football. And so trust, family, integrity is the first thing about there. It
Hmm.
was really cool with me. Two was I would say another big thing was the competitive nature in terms of we're going to compete at the highest level. But the other thing that I really admired and respect about Mojo that it was the autonomy, right? Everybody has to be this national level team, right? Everyone wants to be a national team. But
Hmm.
with Mojo, when I talked to the owner Brooks, he was like, "You have full autonomy to go at your pace." I knew when I created the Mojo team, we wasn't a national team.
Yeah. Right.
It was part of the process, trust the process, and so we were
Hmm.
building to be that high level team, and there wasn't that level of pressure He said, "You have full autonomy to build this." And I really loved and respected that of like, hey, give me an opportunity to build this up. And then Brooks has said, come to me when you need help. And so when I need help, when I need assistance, when I need objective feedback,
Hmm.
the Mojo infrastructure is there to help me. But I like that they gave me the autonomy to really build this team up. Third thing, they was big on fundamentals, right? And so as we continue to grow as a team, we are starting, and we've been doing this all along, but the fundamentals are very critical, especially when you're playing on these high-end tournaments. The fundamentals are very critical.
Hmm.
In the Arkansas past couple of weeks, man, that was such clean ball, clean play, not many mistakes, right? High
Yeah.
level competition in terms of that, right? And so I was
Hmm.
very impressed, and that's what Mojo aligned on in there. And then I'll tell you the last thing, right? I live in Georgia, so there are all these other Georgia teams. The one thing I liked about Mojo, it was something different than what we had in Georgia. And so what Brooks committed to me was, hey, within a certain mile radius, I will not create another team. So when we posted or marketed in Georgia, it's like, oh, there's only
Hmm.
one Mojo team. And so now, when I'm marketing, growing the team, everybody knows this is a Mojo team. And as of today, there is no other Mojo 2012 team in Georgia. It's just my
Okay.
team. And so it gave me some exclusivity there in terms of that, right? And so, as always, those are a couple things in there. And then the one thing I like about it, I'll say the last thing, I seen the runway of Mojo. They were kind
Hmm.
of in their infancy stages, but you could see the path of how the organization was growing. Starting out in Tennessee, they
Hmm.
started branching off to Georgia, branching to Florida. And so when Brooks was talking about this vision, again, same thing with me. I wanted to grow this team, I wanted to grow this brand. The vision was aligned. And so I really, really liked that part of it as well. And so those are things that really attracted me to the Mojo organization.
Okay, I mean that's good, because a lot of people they just you see you got the big names and they shoot for the big
Yeah.
name teams, right? And then
Yep.
like down here you got Bombers and Impact Gold, and I
Hmm.
mean it's nothing you can do with those, right? They
Yep.
the powerhouses,
Yep.
but like the Hustle and Strikers and all the
Yep.
other ones they got, that they're the small ones that's trying to make
Correct.
that come up.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. You want to make you. Yeah. You want to set that brand. You want to set that
yeah.
expectation. That was the same
Mhm.
with me coming out of a rec league, and even with the rec league, we won all the rec tournaments. I mean, we got these fall tournaments, these regional tournaments. We was winning all those. But like you said, you got these big organizations here in Georgia, right?
Mhm.
Atlanta Premiers, Georgia Power. You got all these other big organizations, and I was okay with that to say I want to be exclusive because I'm confident in my team. I'm
Mhm.
confident in building a program that I can compete with them, right?
Mhm.
And we've set that expectation. Major shout outs to all those organizations,
Oh, yeah, for sure.
and what they do. And, IG, major shouts out to them, and Bombers and Athletic Gold and Vipers. I just
Mhm.
seen Ryan made a comment, and shouts out to him. But
Mhm.
I felt confident in my ability, my process, my development that I can establish Mojo as one of those brands as well.
Hey Ryan, just to let you know, you forgot about that Texas Bombers 2012 team out of San Antonio. Just No, we would. It's a story on that. So we had this team out of San Antonio, Bombers 2012, and
Yep.
man, we would always try to set something up to play against Fury when this
Yeah,
was
yeah,
our
yeah.
AU days, and it
Yeah, yeah.
just it just never could happen. We were supposed to meet up in Mississippi, but man, that team, like my daughter played on it, man, and it was just like they was just ahead. Like everybody around this Texas
Yeah.
area, they was way ahead of everybody, man, being in San Antonio, right? So that all the tournaments here for us is in Houston. All the big tournaments
Yeah,
for
yeah.
most of the Texas team is in Houston. So we
Yep.
would literally have to the coaches, not we. I was a parent. The coaches would
Yep.
have to put that our name on the list like a day before. because teams would just drop out once they see it. So yeah, like
Hey
it was
man,
real crazy, man.
big
It was
dogs.
real
Yeah,
crazy.
look. I used to see it on social media when there used to be the comments and the threads going like, "Who the
Yeah.
top teams?" Right. And again, I was a novice in learning the process. I was just like, yeah, I
Hmm.
don't know a lot of these
Me.
teams, yep. But it was always, I would say just reading the threads, the back and forth, and like Texas Bombers, Fury, we got to go get them because, like I said, when we played Fury, we were the Lady Bears, right? And
Hmm.
we played Fury. We challenged them, but they were a good team. I'm like giving
Hmm.
their credit, man. Those are the times I was like, I don't know how they built this team, right?
Yeah.
Because I felt confident that we had a competitive team, but when we played them, yeah, they beat us. They was better than us,
Hmm.
and But to me, it motivated me. The one
Right.
thing about me is that, I'm gonna be the best. I'm gonna strive to be the best. If I lose to you, the thing I do is calibrate myself. I don't get too high or get too low.
Hmm.
Calibrate myself, and then hey, what's the plan to move forward, right?
Yeah.
That keeps me motivated, and
Hmm.
I strive that I'm gonna be the best, and I want to be the best.
Yep, nothing wrong with that, man. So let's bag it up a little bit.
Yep.
You from your recruiting, and you went to a HBCU.
Yes.
What made you choose HBCU over all the other colleges out there?
A couple of things I would say with the HBCU. It allowed me to play quarterback, right?
Okay.
I'm a quarterback. I'm unique. I'm left-handed. Not many left-handed quarterbacks there. I think all
Hmm.
the other schools, I wasn't a big-time recruit, right? Lane College is a D2 school, right? And so one that they allowed me to play quarterback. A lot of other schools want me to play receiver and all that. Hence, I actually played receiver at Lane too when I broke my thumb here, so I had to play another position. But that too, two allow me to get away. I was a little immature when I graduated high school, and so moving to Tennessee, Jackson, Tennessee, about 350 miles away from Atlanta, it allowed me to mature as an individual. It allowed me to not reside on my parents. As a reason, again, I moved from Philadelphia to Georgia because I was immature, getting in a lot of trouble,
Hmm.
um, talking back to my parents. And I really give a lot of credit to my dad because he instilled that maturity and that discipline into me. So now, okay, dad disciplined me, showed me how to be a man. Now go on your own and develop as a man there too,
Hmm.
right? In terms of that. And then historically black college, right? As always, again, if you think of the culture of a HBCU, the infrastructure of a HBU, the homecomings are like no other, right?
No.
Um, like no other. The relationships I built in Tennessee, I went and lived in Tennessee, can't live there, but the relationship, but the relationships that I built there, and then the curriculum. Again, I was a computer science major. They had a
Mhm.
good computer science program in terms of there. But I would think the two major factors. I wanted to continue to play football. That was really critical to me. Playing football, they gave me a football scholarship. Now I'm not putting any financial burdens on my parents and on my family. Two, I need to grow up and mature. That was really big to me in terms of that of like separating from my parents and really growing up and maturing to there. So when I graduated 4 years, when I got my diploma or my degree, excuse me, the car was already loaded up. I was on my way back to Atlanta. I was like, Tennessee has been real. It's been a great 4 years, great relationships, but I'm out of here in terms of that. So those are some things that were really critical to me, and it equipped me um, with Lane College how to deal with complexity. Right, it helped me to be resilient. Right, sometimes financially, money not right. You're at a smaller school. So it gave me those I think those core life principles that helped me be better as I've gotten older and gotten more
Mhm.
mature.
Okay. And like you said, you started your career off being a softball coach, and I know it was kind of, cause of your daughter, right? So
Yeah.
how did you like? Cause being a football player, y'all. I don't know if y'all take like I don't know what y'all take before the games. Y'all be and screaming, all that. So, and you don't seem like one of those, people. First of all, we played y'all senior coach. You're not, one of those loud coaches that's always
Yeah.
yapping and everything. You dare to handle
Yeah.
business and stuff like that. But how did you, being a football player, how did you take that? Just the guidance,
Yeah.
being here, being there, because I'm pretty sure y'all had to do so much stuff to be at a football practice. Like how did you
Yeah.
pass that along to the softball girls?
Yeah, yeah. So I'll tell you this: the first couple of seasons, I was probably a little bit more riled up and animated, right?
Hmm.
Um, but what I've learned is that your people will emulate your team will emulate their leader, right?
Hmm.
And so sometimes when I was getting too riled up, the girls were getting too riled up. Like you said, with football, it's high emotion, high
You're right.
energy, right? High energy. And I used to be like that, like uber high energy. I
Hmm.
mean, jumping up. And I'll call Ryan now. I think Ryan made a post about that. Like, hey, how you feel about coaches getting all riled up and carried? I was like, man, Ryan May was talking about me because I think we were playing them. I don't know, maybe he wasn't, but I used to be riled up like that. Levi, I used to be riled up like that. And sometimes what I started to see with the girls would get too high up on emotion, and sometimes to the point of where the focus was getting missed there. And
Hmm.
so again, your people emulate their leader. And so if I'm a
Right.
model of consistency, right? Right? I'm locked in, I'm focused, right? My emotions are not me. And you show emotions on the softball field, got it.
Hmm.
But if I'm just too riled up on emotions, then they were getting too riled up on the emotions there. And I learned that just by talking with the girls, understanding what their viewpoint was there. And when I asked them questions of why are you doing that? Well, coach, you're kind of excited like that too. Like, oh, okay. So they're looking at me and looking at my
Hmm.
demeanors, right? And so I got to really make sure I do that. And so I've learned how to be that model of consistency. You're right. I don't do a lot of talking. I don't do a lot of rile. I don't get too riled up.
Hmm.
Man, it keeps the girls calm. Even if we're losing the game, even if we're winning, I'm gonna be that model of consistency in terms
Yeah.
there. But it was something was a learned trait because when I first started, oh man, I was on 100. The energy going like, hey, this dude must be on a Red Bull, a C4 drink. He riled up. But I will say it was just more of the maturation of me of understanding the game, right?
Mhm.
And again, I think naturally girls or females are more emotional. So if I'm
Mhm.
high already high emotion, that's just going to keep them going high. Whereas
Yeah.
males, we're not like that. But in football, you just got to rile up, and it's more
Mhm.
physical, more intense there. And so it was just through the learning and the maturation process of the game and talking with the girls and understanding and looking at how they're playing. I was like, okay, I need to throttle this down some. And then we had a couple other coaches that was kind of hyped up, right? It
Mhm.
was like you can't have a whole coaching staff hype, right? I try to be somewhat presidential when I'm on there, and I'm a representation of Mojo. I'm a representation of these awesome girls, these awesome families, but I'm a
Mhm.
representation of myself as well, right? And so
Mhm.
it's been part of the process.
Yeah. So, you started off coaching your older daughter, then you went and now you're coaching your younger daughter. How is it coaching your daughters? How much pressure do you put on them? And another one is like, I know it got to be a good feeling just to see where they started and to where they are now. So, like,
Mhm.
how is it, being a dad coach, and how much pressure do you put on them?
So I'll say this: my oldest daughter Gabby is a 2010, and she just started her first year of high school. And I will tell you, Levi, and I want to start out with her because she's the reason why I did all this stuff.
Mhm.
But it's surreal to see her maturation. So she played at Hebron Christian Academy in Georgia, their top ranked school. But as a freshman, she was able to start at third baseman. She was all region, hit a home run in the state championship game.
Nice.
They lost 2-1, but she hit a home run. And really to see the growth. And when I watch her play as a parent, one is surreal. Um, Two, it gets me very emotional. But as a three, of the validation of the hard work she has put in, and as a validation of me as a dad of helping to create these opportunities for her to get better. And so um, it is so freaking awesome. And I would say my oldest daughter probably was easier to coach than my 2012. My 2012 Bailey, I try not to coach her because it is. because it is tough, right? As a coach's
Mhm.
kid, right? I think
Yeah.
coaches' kids are heavily scrutinized because
Mhm.
they are extension of the coach. So you think a coach's kid, there's always they got to be one of the best players. There's always I always see these threads about daddy ball, right? In terms of that, and it's tough, right? Because you got to be able to separate dad versus coach.
Mhm.
And so I'll give you a great example. When we were in Arkansas, she didn't pitch as well. And so she's a pitcher. And it's tough because I'm calling pitches,
Right.
right? And so we had a conversation after the game, and she gave me some feedback as a dad. And she was like, Dad, she just gave me some feedback. And it was very surreal to me because she struggles to separate dad and coach. She think when I'm
Mhm.
disappointed as her coach, I'm disappointed as her as a dad, and
That,
it's
yeah.
a continuous process there. But to
Mhm.
go back to answer, really go in your question, it's tough. It is tough um, being a coach's kid. They are scrutinized as much as the coach is. If I do something
Mhm.
bad, that's probably synonymous with the kid doing bad there. And she probably hear things that maybe outside noise that she's hearing that they're saying something about her dad in terms of that can probably impact her. But here is my process as a coach and as a dad of having a kid on the team in terms of this. One, I try not to coach her a lot. I have a
Mhm.
great coaching staff with Coach Justin and Coach Kevin, where they'll lean into Bailey and her development there. Two, one, two. After a game, we have a talk in the car. After the game, we sit in the car, we talk, and then I let it go.
Mhm.
If we got a 4 hour drive home, we talk right before we leave, and it's done. So in
Mhm.
Arkansas, after the game, we talked, and then it's over. The game is over. It's dad time. And so I have learned how to really separate that and be able to compartmentalize. But for her, it could sometimes be a challenge because she knows I'm the coach. And so she's always trying to live up to my expectations.
Mhm.
And that could be a lot of pressure on the 12-year-old. And I
Yep.
try to be that voice of reason of like, I don't need you to boil the ocean, try to do everything, just play your game. You've put in the work. We put in the work, and I can commit to that, Levi. We put in the work. Her older sister put in the work, so she's seen what her older sister can do on the high school level to get all region, to be number top three on her team in batting average, to hit home runs in state championship game, to start at third baseman on a top 10 school in the state of Georgia. She's seen what her older sister, so she has a blueprint.
Mhm.
Now, whether she's getting to that age now is that you seen what your sister do. If you want to get to that level, right? You want to go from good to great. It's in those details, and we got to put in the work here. But to answer your question, it's hard. I try to separate it. I try not to coach her up. With I leverage it through the awesome coaching staff that I have. And then after a game is over, Levi, we sit in that car, we converse as coach and player, and then we let it go. It's daddy daughter.
Mhm.
Hey, you want to go to Dairy Queen? What do you want to eat? You want to go to Zaxby's? I mean, what do you want,
Yeah.
right? And and it works. But I would tell you, it's a challenge. I'm not going to sit here and lie and cover up. It is a challenge being a coach's kid.
No, I bet. I bet. I mean, from me just seeing them, and I'm like, man, like, I mean, I didn't know, we when we played y'all, I didn't know which kid was yours, but like, even on, let's say, on my team, right, on my daughter's team, like,
Hmm.
the kid, like, she's a very great athlete, but
Hmm.
I feel that she thinks she have more, like you said, more pressure on her
Hmm.
just because her dad's the coach. If she mess up, everybody don't look at her.
Hmm.
They skip completely over her and look directly at the coach. And it's
Hmm.
like you can't do that, right?
Right.
Like these kids have so much pressure. They put so much
Mm.
pressure on themselves. So
Yes.
like, and that's why, like, it's another thing, reason that's part of reasons why I started this, right? Because you can hear
Hmm.
coaches talk about how much pressure that the kids already have on their
Hmm.
self playing this sport. Like,
Yep.
I'll be sitting in the stands. I'm looking like how? How do they
Hmm.
even do some of these things?
Yeah. Exactly.
And being so young, because when these kids batting a four, even a 500 and below, everybody's mad.
Right.
But when you look at that
Yep.
third, fourth hole in this college top five college
Yep.
team, and she's
Yep.
batting a three, maybe 270,
Yep.
she's a fourth
Yep.
hole hitter, right? And it's
Exactly.
like, so that's the things that I had to really talk to my kid about, because
Mhm.
my kid is she's a power hitter, right? She done
Mhm.
hit six over the fence already. So now
There you
she's like,
go.
every time I'm up, it has to go over the fence. And I'm like, no,
Yep.
like we're
And
not
that's
doing
and
that.
that's a lot of pressure, right? Like you
Mm-hmm.
said, it's a lot of pressure. And we talk a lot about, softball is a game of failure.
Mm-hmm.
And how do you deal with the failure? How do you process it, right?
Yeah.
And even like you said, when you get in the batter's box, are you commanding the batter's box, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you're still thinking about that last out, that last era, then you're
Yeah.
mentally beat right here. And so
Mm-hmm.
we do a lot on mental toughness and how do we continue to move forward on that. And that's been probably a focus probably the last 2 seasons. We got to get better on the mental toughness because, like you said, the pressures are like a pressure cooker. And again, like you said, that's why I'm not so animated as a coach because it's just so much going on.
Yeah.
And then me coming yelling, ralling at them, that's just creating more pressure,
More.
more
Yeah.
anxiety, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
if I could be that calm model of consistency, then they can say, well, coach not upset, coach not yelling. Then they can say, oh,
Mm-hmm.
we're good. We're good. Let's keep it going. And so
Mm-hmm.
you know, anything I could do to support these young ladies, these young student athletes to make them more successful, because we're preparing them for life, right? And as
Exactly.
these are life lessons, there's a lot more out of softball, right?
Mm-hmm.
Football has afforded me things that made me better in my after football life, my corporate career, right? Me as a family man, as a dad, as a coach, etc. And I
Mm-hmm.
leverage those learnings from football to ensure that I'm emulating and implementing them in my day to day. So, it's good.
Well, yeah, yeah. Man, how important is it to tell an athlete like about their mistakes, but also praise them for their achievements?
Oh, accountability is big, right? It was
Mm-hmm.
something that we really talked about after Arkansas. Is like accountability, right? I think you have to hold the athlete accountable. That's how they develop, right?
Mm-hmm.
And also, if you're just praising and you're praising, right, and you're not saying here's the opportunities, right? You don't grow from hey, you're doing all these things great. There's no
Mm-hmm.
growth there, right? There is no expectations. Um, but when they do make a mistake, how are you coaching them up, right? You have to one, to me, when girls are making a mistake and we're starting to do this, is one, we're being very intentional of letting them know, hey, you made this mistake here, you know, here's how we learn from it. Here's what we do next time. So you're coaching them up, real time coaching. And so that's when you're getting to that next level, right? When you're giving them real time feedback. Don't wait till
Mm-hmm.
after the game. Don't wait till the next day. Don't wait till the next week, right? To me, this should be a very fluid process. And so we're starting to be very intentional of coaching them up on the spot, right? Because that can
Mm-hmm.
help prepare them for that next situation that's coming up, right?
Yep.
Right? That can help them, right? Hey, next at bat, next inning, next ball, next situation. Here's how we're going to mitigate this. This is what you can do. And so that's going to be a big win there. And then, two, that's what we're all about. Praise them for their success, right?
Mm-hmm.
They get a hit. We're telling the girls, I was telling the girls, you get a hit, especially in Arkansas, with all this phenomenal pitching. Go
Yeah.
out there. Let's surfboard. Let's have fun on the
Mm-hmm.
bases.
Yep.
It's okay to
Mm-hmm.
celebrate. It's okay to have fun. And it's okay to reward them. And we do all everything else like the other teams do. We got the chain, the swag chain. We're taking
Mm-hmm.
pictures and all that. But you gotta, as much as we praise, we gotta develop too. They're
Yeah.
12 years old, so we gotta
Mm-hmm.
inform them and develop them, and we gotta coach them up on a daily. That's how they're gonna get better. Like you said, your
Mm-hmm.
daughter hitting home runs, right? But if she pop out or something like that, let's figure out what happened. Was you late in the
Yeah.
swing? Did you drop your
Mm-hmm.
hands? Whatever it was, right? Did you get that front foot down? Did you get your full extension? Like, let's coach that
Yeah.
up so they can
Mm-hmm.
understand. They're 12.
Yep.
They have the mental capacity, and I think that's what we got to understand is that these girls have the mental capacity right now to take the coaching, right? This is the
Mm-hmm.
time, so we should be giving it real time, giving it to them directly, and then showing them how to fix it as they move forward. And then when they move forward and they do it right, that's when you praise. That's what I'm talking
Yeah.
about. And then you ask
Mhm.
them, "What did you do, coach? I took your feedback. We winning. Hey,
Yeah.
we caught light in the bottle. We winning now. We winning,
Mhm.
baby." And so it's always pretty cool with that though. So I think, and as we're starting to make this transition in second year 12U and getting ready for 14U, I even told my parents we're going to be very intentional with that. Like more feedback, more coaching, right? To get them
Mhm.
ready.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I agree. That because I mean, 14U, first year 14U, you can kind of go, but
Hmm.
second year 14U, oh, it gets real then.
Get ready. second, year, second year 12U and second year 14U. I'm with you,
Yeah.
Levi.
It gets real, man. So how important is team bonding? And that's why I wanted to ask you, do you have being the only Mojo from Georgia, like, uh, is your team they from close by or they just spread out?
I'll say the majority of the team, I'll say 75% of the team is within 5-10 mile radius of where we're at.
Okay.
And then we have a couple of girls that drive somewhere between an hour and a half, maybe
Okay.
2 hours to get to us. But the majority of the team is close by. We're close knit. We're starting to get the inquiries of like, hey, where are you guys located? Do would you have a girl travel distances? And when I talk to other coaches, I talk to other
Mhm.
coaches, yeah, we got girls flying in from here, flying in from here. You think of Brittany Lewis, 16U Mojo team that's national champions. I don't think she has one girl from the state of Georgia. Every other girl flies in. So we're starting to, starting to get those inquiries of that sort. But the majority of the girls, 75%, 80% of us, we have 11 girl roster. I would say
Mhm.
8, 9 of the 11 is within 15, 20 minutes. And then we have two
Okay.
or three where they're coming at distances of an hour plus there in terms of that. What
Mhm.
we try to do is be very intentional. Anytime we travel, though, Levi, I think this was your second question.
Mhm.
Anywhere we go, we make it an experience for the girls. So when we do super selects, like when we do in Columbia, Tennessee, we took the
Mhm.
girl line dancing, right? Tennessee is big on line dancing,
Mhm.
right? In terms of that. When we went to Arkansas a couple of weeks ago, we did those lockup room things. So some of the girls did lockup rooms there. In terms of that, when we went to Alabama, we did some hats and stuff. And so we try to make this a good experience because
Mhm.
outside of the wins and losses, they are enjoying the experience.
Yep.
And again, go back to the infrastructure. Why the parents need to get along, why the girls need to get along. Because to me, it's bigger than softball. It's the experience that these girls are getting with their friends,
Yep.
and building these relationships there. And so,
Mhm.
anywhere we go, we try to make an experience of it. We went to Myrtle Beach last summer to play in those championships there. We made a big experience out of it, right? In terms of that. So that is really great because when you make it an experience, then you're doing some big things, right? You're building cohesion, you're building
Mhm.
trust, you're building sisterhood. So when they go onto the field, now they're playing for that trust. They're trusting
Mhm.
their teammate, right? When I say, hey, throw that Roz ball and I need you to catch it, or I need you to make this play for your sister. So it goes back to that theme, we versus we over me, right? There's no I in team. And so you got to create these experiences for these girls, so they have fun. We do a lot of birthday celebrations. Um, we do end of the year celebrations there. So we try to be very intentional of saying, hey, this is just not softball. This is a true family. And when you start to get
Mhm.
together outside of the softball season,
Yeah.
then you know it's working, right? When the girls want to
Mhm.
see each other off season, hey, I want to spend time with such and such, or can we get the team together? Or birthdays come up, and I asked Belly, "What's your guest list?" and she named all 10 softball teammates. I'm like, "All right, here we go." All right,
Perfect.
right. So
Yeah.
there you go, right? So
Mhm.
that's when you know that you're really establishing that foundation, that infrastructure, that culture that I talked about in the beginning.
Mhm. And that's how that Bombers when we was back in AU, the Bombers
Yeah,
2012 team,
yeah,
that's how it was for us. Like you would go to the birthday parties, the freaking day before holiday stuff, and it's the team only.
yep.
Like and it's like y'all don't have other family members. I mean, we was traveling because we was from Laredo. We was living in Laredo at the time, which is
Yep.
border Mexico. So we was
Okay.
traveling, to San Antonio. But when we get there, you thinking, oh yeah, they'll have family members there, plus the team, only the team. the team
Yeah,
only, like, and
man.
it was,
Yeah,
to me, I'm like, it's like, okay, like being new into the whole
yeah,
travel thing and all of that. So I'm like, oh, is this how it is, right?
yeah,
But
yeah.
then we had a few teams that was like that. Then we had a few teams where it was nothing, right?
Hmm.
So, and
Correct.
my daughter she's one of the quiet ones. So I look
Yeah.
forward to those type of team bonding type things. She's finally starting to come out of her shell and be
Yep.
more vocal and stuff like that. But when she was younger, oh, she had a coach that, man, I coached her for a whole year. I might have heard two words. I was and I'm like, well, like, do she do
Yeah.
what you tell her? He like, oh yeah, yeah. I was like, okay, well, try to get some more words out of her because, man, here she don't, at home she don't
Yeah.
zip it. She just keep yapping,
Yeah,
yapping,
they act
yapping, yapping.
differently, right? Correct. No, absolutely. I'll tell you even crazier when you get now the girls build the relationships, and then when the
Mhm,
moms and dad builds a relationship. So within Mojo, the moms did like a Atlanta housewife photo shoot, right?
mhm.
And that was crazy. And then so now the dads, we're trying to top them. We ain't doing no photo shoot, but we just go hang out, right? Dad's night out, and we're gonna go have
Mhm.
fun go to a lounge and just really fellowship in that way. And that's where, like you said, just building that culture. And
Yeah.
when you start to have that type of chemistry and continuity, like I said, your trust goes up, the commitment goes up, right?
Mhm.
The experiences goes up. And so to me, that's really critical. And it goes back to, like I said, that's the foundational piece. The infrastructure is like you said, outside of
Mhm.
softball, we still want to kick it. And so
Yeah.
that's when you really got a great organization.
Mhm. So when you hear the word sportsmanship, what comes to mind?
Sportsmanship. I would say to me a couple of things. Sportsmanship. One, competing. When I think of sportsmanship, integrity is when I think about sportsmanship. And when I say competing, right? I think just like competing on the highest level,
Mhm.
um, you know, playing against the best, right? Um, that's how you get better. When I'm talking about integrity, sometimes we got time games and people want to be slick on how they're doing it, which I really like Arkansas because you have 5 innings, right? It's
Five
like you
in,
play
yep.
5 innings, you
Mhm.
can't do all in
Time
terms
blue,
of
let me
that.
go tie your
Correct. Yeah.
shoes.
Right, right. Sportsmanship, respect, right? I think that's respect of the coaches respecting each other. Again, we are the leaders of these teams, and so how the coaches pay respect in terms of that, and then the player respect, right? And then they're
Mhm.
respecting each other, they're respecting the games. Man, I'll be seeing stuff on social media where coaches going off on the umpires and all of that. So to me, all of that is like a culmination of what I think of as sportsmanship
Mhm.
in terms of the game era. And I think, as this game continues to evolve, because the softball game is just evolving so fast,
Yeah.
um, we got to make sure that we put that at the forefront of having great sportsmanship, sportswomanship, of how you saying that. But
Mhm.
um, you know, and that's even to the parents. Parents sometimes the emotion takes
Yeah.
it goes out. You can hear it over the fences there, but again, back to like I said, these 12-year-old little girls, and so we got to make sure
Mhm.
that we are demonstrating and exhibiting that type of sportsmanship throughout each game.
Yep, because I mean, at the end of the day, us parents, we can't do. Most of us can't run up a hill.
Mm,
Cabela
yeah.
can't take jog up to. I mean, you work out, so yeah, you excuse. But me, look, man,
Mm,
I don't. I used to be, I play in the rec league for the men's basketball.
yeah.
Man, after a while, I was just like, you know what, man, this I don't have time because like when I play sports though, like I want to be able to certain days when I don't have a games, I want to be able to go shoot, go do this and
Yeah,
go,
yeah.
just to stay in shape,
Mhm.
stay into it. And once I started them days, of me going shoot extra, going run a few games at the rec. Once they started dropping down and getting less and less, I just gave it
Yep.
up. I
You
was
say,
like,
"I'm done."
yeah,
Yeah.
this ain't for me.
Yep.
I'ma just
Yep.
go to the field, go practice football. My little boy, he into football, so he want to be a quarterback. He say,
There you go.
uh,
Hey, QB1, man. QB1. Hey,
Hey,
look.
hey, he don't like to get. He don't like. He like me. He don't want to get tackled.
Yeah, my son, so my son Caleb, like this season, he turned into a thumper. And here's one reason I'll tell you, like you said, you have multiple kids. I have three, and it's
hmm
sometimes it's like the divide and conquer. With Gabby now, she's on the hospital, so I don't have to coach her.
hmm
Barely coach her, but now Caleb is now getting active in the sports. And a couple of parents or a couple of people was like, "Why you don't coach middle school?" I was like, "No," and I think I sent you this message. I was
Yeah.
like, "The fall is dedicated," and I told my girls, "The fall is dedicated to your brother. The spring is dedicated to you girls." And so the fall, I'm focused on Caleb and football, and so I don't coach middle school. It gives me an opportunity to detox from the long spring season too. So
Yeah.
it gives me, the detox, clear my mind, recalibrate, and reassess. But also, again, it gives me time to spend time with my son, right?
Yeah.
And it gives my daughters the opportunity to be coached by other people. And that's one thing.
hmm
Like, you want to get recruited, you got to be coachable. So you
Yeah.
better go and learn how to, get with these other coaches. And so that's
hmm
always good as well. It's like give me that bonding time with my son, outside of softball. Keep my football fix. It feeds that
Yeah.
football ego, right?
Yeah.
And so that's cool.
Yeah, man. I can't look. I didn't. For one, I didn't want my kids to be involved in softball when my oldest one when she started. My oldest one is she 12. I
Yep.
did not the one. I did not want her to play at all because I'm basketball. I didn't play no other sport but basketball. So
Mhm.
my mind was set. All of my kids are playing basketball.
Yep.
Yeah, that didn't work out. I'm a prime example of not forcing your kids to do something that
Nope.
just because you did it. Like, yo,
Yep.
you want to do this? Okay, well, I guess we got to figure it out. Like how you said, at the beginning, you had to
Yep.
figure out all these things, watch all these
Yep.
videos, and that's what I did. Like, cause I played
Nope.
baseball. I quit when I was 7. Like I'm
Yep.
not moving enough. Like I need to be up and down. I need to be doing something, right? Just standing here waiting for a ball to come. It's not working for me. So
Nope.
I gave it up. But she picked it up. She had a cousin that played baseball, and she would always want to play catch with him. And yeah, it just went from there. And
But
so,
yeah, but Levi, I would say the sign of a great leader. I'm big on like quotes and stuff. The sign of a great leader is adaptability. All right.
mhm,
That's to me is that I tell my parents, if you talk to any of my parents, when we have our end of season conversations, I say I'm allergic to complacency. I'm allergic to it. So I'm always adapt to the situation. So
mhm,
again, even going into this off season, right? NFC coming up, it's going to be in Texas. I'll be down there, right? I got to figure it out, but I'll be down there
mhm,
going to NFCA, right? Going to be
mhm,
in Dallas this year. Like I said, going to Auburn coaches camp, right? And so definitely we're going to be doing that, right? And that's the sign to me of a good leader. A good leader will never be complacent. A good leader is always a visionary, right? Very strategic. And I
mhm.
always tell people I'm playing chess, not checkers,
Yeah.
right? I'm 3, 4 steps ahead. I'm trying, that's where I'm looking at. So a lot of people looking at spring. Yeah, I'm looking at spring. Spring to me is pretty much baked. I'm trying to look at, like you said, 14U
Yeah.
and what's the path to 14U and what's the path to these showcases and getting on the
Mhm,
national stage and getting these girls the visibility that they deserve and that they earn, right? It's not about me, right? It's about these girls and how am I setting them up for success on the softball field, but also in life there. And so
mhm.
that's me. It's always like I said, I'm allergic to complacency. I
Yeah.
will never be complacent.
Mhm,
Always learn from mistakes, right? That's the biggest growth. You learn through the losses, you learn through the lessons there. Like I said, learn so much in Arkansas about everything, right? And maybe we'll circle back on that, but just learn so much from these great coaches we have in Georgia, in the Southeast, and talking to these tournament directors, man. I am a sponge. I talk to everybody,
mhm,
but I'm like you said, I'm very low key. I'm not the one that's going to brag and boast. I try to stay under the radar. Um, and as the team continues to get better and continues to compete on a higher level, we get more visibility. Like even you walking up on me, and I appreciate it, right? And I said at the
mhm,
beginning, I just appreciate and you even giving the team this opportunity, right? And letting us get on this podcast and talk to you guys. And so
Yeah.
I'm just appreciative and humble of it. And we're gonna continue to keep moving this thing forward too.
Oh yeah, yeah, man. Like, it's a lot of people tell me, man, it's a
Mhm.
good thing you started this, and I'm like, man, it's just like, first off, I'm a big podcast person. I don't even
Yeah,
like listening to music.
yeah,
I gave up on music because my music, I'm still in. And I don't think I passed probably 2019, maybe before that. Like, I'm still
yeah,
way back there in my music, like I got the
yeah,
same playlist from a long time ago. But I listen to every podcast you could think of, and I just heard on one podcast, it was like, man, you can just start a podcast. I started off just audio on Spotify for podcasters. And
yeah,
I'm like, okay, so hey, I wonder who I can ask. So my daughter, AU coach, hey man, that he was my first guest. Hey man, it was 2 years ago. Hey man, you wanna be on this? You wanna be on my podcast? And he was like, what? Like, what I'm gonna do? I was like, well, I'm gonna come up with a lot of questions, and you just gotta answer them. That's it. Okay,
yep,
and it just and it went from there, man. And it's like, really, I feel appreciated by a lot of people in the softball community,
yeah,
because there's a lot of people come up to me, and they like, man, I really appreciate what you do, this and that, we follow you, we like this and that, and I'm
yeah,
like, man, wow.
yeah,
I go back and tell my wife, like, man, hey, these people just stopped me. Hey, they
yeah,
told me they like this and that. And she was like, well, you act like, and I'm like, no, like, these not people from Houston, Texas area. These people on this other team over here.
no, man,
And
yeah, man, you official, man. You official, man. You here.
then,
No, look. Just to echo, man. It's one, much respect and humbleness to you to create this
Mhm,
vehicle, right? And like I said, when you post stuff on social media, look, I don't do a lot of posts. I just read a
yeah,
lot,
mhm,
and I see how people react to you, and you
mhm,
you have you have a value to this softball community. Softball community is small, and
mhm,
but it's pretty cool how you can bring us all together. We're all in these different regions. You're in Texas. I'm in Georgia. You got
yeah,
Tennessee, Indiana, Alabama,
mhm.
and you can use this podcast as a vehicle to bring us all together. So much appreciation and respect for you to doing that, man. It's innovative. Like you said, I'm like you. I don't listen to a lot of music, you know, other when I'm in the gym. I'll get the music in the gym, but I'm listening to podcasts as well when I'm driving back
Mhm.
and forth for the work. And so, again, it is definitely much respect for you for creating this opportunity.
Appreciate it. I appreciate it, man. I got a quick scenario for you, man. You
Yeah,
got one
yeah, yeah.
you got one out, runners on first and second. What's your call to the batter?
Hey, what for? Hey, you gotta give me a score.
Oh, we tie game.
Uh,
We tie game.
Tie game, one
Tie
out.
game. One out. And this
Who's
this this
who's
yeah,
back?
yeah, yeah,
Who's
y'all
batting?
got y'all up. It's pretty much last at bats. Got about 20 minutes. It's a time game. 20 minutes.
Cool. All right, where I'm at in the bat. See, I asked a lot of questions. Where we at in
Oh,
the batting
okay,
order?
okay. Well, we gonna
I got
go.
some big.
We
We got
ain't
some
gonna.
big dog.
That's what I'm saying. You go with a hitter, you gotta let her go ahead and swing the bat. But you had
Mm-mm-mm.
about, I'm gonna say seventh hole, seventh hole up
Seven
to
holes.
bat.
So my daughter bats in the seven hole
Oh.
sometimes. Hey, I'm not a dairy ball. My daughter don't lead off or nothing like that, man. I see Ryan talking about he taking notes
Yeah,
here,
you
man.
see him, right?
I would
Shout
say,
out
yeah,
at
look,
Ryan,
man,
man. I shout
look.
out Ryan again.
Look. I got as much faith in my girls that one out runs on first and second here. A couple of scenarios, right?
Hmm.
I'm first of all, I'm looking at how the defense being played, right? I tell you, I'm a process guy. I'm looking at defense. That third baseman back by third baseman, we laying it down.
Hmm.
Levi, we're laying it down. We're athletic. We're a fast team. We're laying down the bunt. We're gonna apply some pressure, right? So I might even tell her to take fake bunt, see what that third baseman do. Oh, that third baseman crashing hard. Okay, now we fake bunt still, right? So we can move the
Hmm.
runners. Now I got runners on second and third. Now, hey, now we're
now,
swinging. We
now you
eating now. We
swinging, yeah.
eating. Now we eating, right? So that's what I would do, right? I'm gonna look at what's going on, right? We're gonna throw a little bait out there. We'll throw a bunt out there, a fake bunt. Let's see
Hmm.
how the infield is gonna play this, right? Say she don't move, she stays back. We're dropping the bunt. right? They coming up. Hey, we might swing for it. Hey, slap it over the head. Look, hey, get the bat
Mhm.
out, make some contact over the head. We're scoring, right? Or hey, we're going full swing there in terms of that. So again, that's what I'm doing. So as a coach, and Ryan said he taking notes. I'm watching. I don't watch the batter. I watch the defense because
Mhm.
that gives me an opportunity. Again, I'm playing chess. I'm 3 steps ahead, right, in terms of that. So I'm gonna watch that runner. I mean, I'm gonna watch that third baseman. I'm gonna watch that first baseman. I'm gonna watch how that catcher is catching that ball. Are they
Yeah.
framing and holding the ball too long?
Mhm.
Right?
We gonna
If they
go.
holding the ball too long, we going. We eating. We eat. We got to eat.
Mhm.
We competing, right? In terms of that. So I would say that if that third baseman was Gressman, they trying to drop down on the bunt. We're fake bunt stealing. Now we're in scoring position. We're going to swing. We're going to make a play. I feel
Mhm.
confident enough. My daughter or any of my girls have put in the work. Because when you're on second, third, all you got to do is put the ball in play. I just
Yeah.
need to put the ball in play.
Two
And so that's
shifts
the
go.
next stage. Yeah, next stages of hey, put the ball in play, hit a ground ball, we scoring. We're too
Mhm.
fast, we're too athletic enough that no girl can throw us out and make the tag at home.
Yeah.
We're too. I
Mhm.
feel that we are too fast in that in terms of that. Now, first and second. Hey, first and second.
First and
Hey,
second, 2 outs.
2 out. First and second, 2 outs. We gotta swing. We gotta swing. Again, that third baseman not moving. They not going for the
Mhm.
bunt, or they're playing us bunt. They know we're gonna bunt. We swinging.
Mhm.
We swinging. That's what we're doing.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it to me is the scenario that I would look at. I would look at how the defense is playing us. Um, and I think that's something that we've really leaned into that we want to be that athletic, fast team. If you even think about the softball game, man, those bunts put a lot of pressure. It's putting a lot of pressure on those
Oh yeah.
infielders, putting a lot of pressure on those catchers. It's putting a lot of pressure on that second baseman if they got to cover first to get to first base, man. So there is a lot of moving parts. And then when you got a fast, athletic team, now you got to move faster than expected.
Mhm.
And if you can get an overthrow, a misthrow, or something like that, that momentum is real.
Yep. Oh yeah. Everything
Momentum is
shifts.
a real thing. Everything shifts, and that's where the football mentality comes. Momentum is real in terms of this game and how these girls played in terms of that. In terms of that, so um, that's what I would do. I don't think it's a right or wrong, but
Yeah, I
I
don't
feel
think
pretty
so either.
confident.
Yeah. Hey, you hold on, wait. Hey, good, great question though. You know what I mean? You question with a question. Hold on. Where I'm at in the lineup?
Yeah,
Runners on
yeah, I
how
gotta
many
know
out?
all
You
that,
know what I
man.
mean? Yeah, you got. Yeah,
Yeah,
all
I
right,
gotta
man.
know all
I
that.
tried to catch you off guard, man.
Yeah,
That's my job
yeah.
over here.
Yeah, I look. I got some bangers where I'm like, okay, yeah, let us swing. Look, I'll
Yeah.
sit back and be like, hey, I'm gonna put the money on that 4 hole. I'm gonna put the money on that 3 hole, that 5 hole, because I
Hmm.
feel that confident in those players of just swinging the bat. But then we're dynamic enough, and so I think that's the next stages, man. And even like to me, Levi, as a parent watching the higher level girls, they dropping those bunts, right?
Hmm.
And so the mentality, if you drop a bunt and you move that runner, that's a win for the team.
Yep.
That's that's a win for the team. You move that runner, now they're in scoring position.
Hmm.
Now you got that third baseman kind of nervous. What I'm gonna do? The next person gonna
Hmm.
bunt. And when you got them thinking 2 or 3 scenarios, now we're ahead.
Yep.
We're ahead. Like I said, it's
Hmm.
all about the game of chess versus playing checkers, man. And that's how I've I see how I've built the team, how I play the game. And then even on this all season, we're playing chess, looking for how do we get 2, 3, 4 steps ahead of it? Because, and I'll say this 2012 landscape is freaking phenomenal. Is one
Yep.
is deep, it's dynamic. You got girls throwing 60 miles an hour at 12 years old with
Yeah.
movement,
Hmm.
with movement,
That's
hitting
nasty.
spots.
That's
It's
nasty.
crazy. 60 miles an hour, right?
Hmm.
58, 57, like at 12 years old. You got high school girls signing scholarships throwing that fast, right? And they
Yep.
throwing it at 12 years
Mhm.
old. But it's deep, it's dynamic, it's innovative, right? Because the game is continuing to evolve. And so, man, if you're not on your grind, if you're not doing the due diligence as a coach or as a player of putting in that work, the
Mhm.
training and development, the fundamentals, the coaches, of going to these conferences, talking to these college level coaches, talking to these high end high school coaches, then man, it's gonna pass you by. It's gonna pass you by, and you know, like I said, that's just me. I'm not complacent, and so I'm gonna continue to try to evolve this team here in terms of that, man.
Yeah, buddy. And talk about how you plan practices. Like what's a practice day? I know Ryan on there trying to, get your mojo, man. Get but hey, hey, talk about like,
Yeah.
what goes into a typical practice day? What drills do you run on a
Man, a
non-hitting
lot. So
day?
yeah, so we're like a football team. First of all, we are very structured in our practices, man. We plan it down to the water breaks. Water,
Mhm.
hey, 3 minute water break. Look, so we're very structured on there in terms of that. But we plan every minute of the practice there in terms of what's going on with the team there. So at a high level, without going into specifics, because Ryan said he's taking notes there, right? The first thing that we do is really big is stretching and flexing. So we're really getting into the stretching now that they're getting older, right? These girls are starting to hit puberty. So look, we gotta get them stretched out. We want to stretch and flex there in terms of that there. And then after they do their stretching and flex and they do they run, they stretch and flex. And now we're starting to say, you do it on your own. Coaches ain't going to tell you, all right,
Mhm.
you ladies are starting to get old enough that you should be able to do this on your own. Because if you get Coach Justin in there, who's a football guy like me, he's going to stretch you for about 45 minutes and now you done messed up a practice, right? All right. So get your stretches in. Then we go into throwing, right? All types of throws, right? You silly. All types of throws here, right? Long throws, short throws, side throws, whatever. And then we go into fundies. And so we go into fundamentals there in terms of that. And then we'll do, hey, infield drill, outfield drills, team D. And so we don't try to focus on like, we'll take one or two critical things each practice and we'll really lean into it and we'll probably make it a 30-minute period. If it's a 30-minute period of bunt coverage, that's all we're gonna do. Bunt coverage.
Mhm.
30 minutes, we're gonna get bunt coverage, and we're gonna give you every scenario. Nobody on. Runner at first, runner at first and second, runner at third, third by itself, bases loaded. And we're gonna run through all these scenarios, right? And I'm really big. Like I said, I give you a lot of these things, right? Preparation breeds confidence. So we run you 30 minutes, you know what it is. You're prepped for it, you understand it, you know it. Preparation breeds confidence. They're going to execute it there in terms of that.
Mhm.
And so again, we'll do some infield drills, infield fundies, outfield drills, outfield fundies, and then we'll go to a team D where we're focused on a certain situation, a certain scenario. Bunt coverage, relays, cuts. Right? Again, the game is innovating, right? Cuts and relays
Mhm.
has changed from the way we do. We just don't throw it to the cut and throw it home, right? So we're trying to innovate and elevate these girls of how the college and high school do the cuts and relays there. So we might do that, right? Or we probably just do offense and then we do team offense, bunt
Mhm.
drills. All right, we're going to do nothing but bunt drills. And then we get into the competition. We do a lot of one pitch scrimmage where I'm coaching. I mean, I'm the pitcher. It's one pitch and put the ball in play, and we're playing defense behind it. They're gonna hit the ball, and now we're playing real true D behind it.
Mhm.
See how they react to it. Or sometimes we do live pitching, and our live pitcher is pretty unique because we don't have so much time. We start with maybe a 1-1 count. 1-1 count. All right, best on best. That's why I used to love football. When we did 11-11, best on best. Let's go. Let's
Yeah.
compete.
Mhm.
And a lot of drills that we start to do now, we're starting to time them. So we do like base running drills. We do a lot of base running again, like working on the small things, right? And a statement, and we're again another statement. To be good and great, it's the small things, it's the details. All right, how do you run the bases? People don't think base running is critical. It is critical. These
Shit.
games, these games only 1-1, 2-1, 3-2,
Yeah, buddy.
right? So every run counts. Every base run. How do you
Mhm.
slide, right? Do you do a foot slide, face first slide, delay steal?
Mhm.
And so we try to focus. We don't do all this as one. We have a focus each practice of like, this is what we want to focus on. This is what we want to be the best on. If it's best on base running, is it best on delay steal? Is it best on bunt coverage? And we
Mhm.
will spend 30, 45 minutes on there because there's an expectation. Look, when you're not here, I only get you twice a week. Coach only get you twice a week. You got
Mhm.
5 other days that you can be working on your true fundamentals.
Yeah.
And if you're not, we'll see it. when we get
Yeah,
on this
buddy.
best on best. It's going to show.
Hmm. Can't
And
hide
so,
it.
yep, and that's where the evaluation come, right? When we do these best on best and say, okay, yeah, hey, when the last time you seen your batting instructor? When the last time you worked with this instructor in fielding? Because look, your fundamentals are wrong, right? And so that is the plan. I would say we practice twice a week typically, and so our Thursday days are pretty much fundamentals, and our Sundays are the longer practices. And we're
Mhm.
gonna get after it. We're gonna get after it, and we're gonna really see who's been putting the work, who's been in the lab. But it gives us an opportunity to evaluate, right? In terms of the
Mhm.
long practices, evaluate and put in some of those scenarios there. So that's typical.
Okay. So, with y'all season, it was over, after the Arkansas, right?
Yeah.
So what goals did you put in place for your girls before the season started?
So a couple of goals that we did is that we wanted to make a transition of playing team goal, play on a higher level, right? And so I think Arkansas, we played in a super select there was let's play against a different diverse set of teams. So we never played you guys.
Mhm.
We never played Impact. We never played those teams from Arkansas and all of that there in terms of that, right? Um, we made a goal of that we're going to implement some more discipline and as we went through through our process. And so we've implemented some, I would say, some key disciplined process as we went through the warm up or as we got ready before the games. Then we had some team goals, right? We wanted to bat as a team over 350, right? Because like you said, you brought that number up, and that was a team goal. Let's
Mhm.
do this, right? From a pitching, we wanted to keep our earned run average down, right? And our pitchers did a phenomenal job. We wanted to keep it under 2 runs because we feel, hey, we keep it under 2 runs, and we're hitting 300
Got a good
three
chance.
hundred plus. We got a good
Yeah.
chance. Hey,
Mhm.
hey, we're in the game. We're playing. We're playing
Mhm.
there in terms of that. In terms of that. So those were a couple of, I would say, to me, like statistical team goals that we wanted to really do. The one thing I told the parents, right, this past spring, we wanted to establish ourselves. The fall, we wanted to implement the brand of Mojo, right? Like people know who we are. And that was like, hey, branching out of our comfort zone. Let's get out of Georgia. Let's get out of Tennessee. Let's go to Arkansas. Let's do something a little bit different. And then as we get to the spring, we want to continue that domination as we go into the spring, right? Um, and it's on the shirt that was on our flyer. Like we wanted to demand respect. Respect is
Yeah.
earned, and hopefully we're getting that respect that we wanted as a
Mhm.
team, as an organization. Now, don't get me wrong, we still got opportunity. We still got runway to get better. And like I said, I'm never arrogant. I'm confident, but I will never be arrogant into the process that we're going through as a team and as an organization. And so we got some work to do this off season to get there. Like we learned so much from Arkansas. We learned so much by playing you guys. I learned so much by
Mhm.
playing you guys. I learned so much by playing that Bombers team. Um, we learned so much from Indiana Magic. They got our number, and so, and I tell people, I tell coaches, and it's not being arrogant, but we keep receipts. You gotta figure out, hey, these teams beat you. You gotta figure out how to beat them, right? And so I keep receipts, and I take those mental notes, and I take those notes, and we will leverage that as we build and prepare ourselves for the spring, right? So right now we're in off season. So
Okay.
so we're done. Me as a dad, my kids as a kid. So when we finish Arkansas, you got about 60 days to be a kid. Meaning, I'm
Mhm.
not gonna, I'm not gonna put you in the garage. You're not gonna go to the field. She'll do some things with her instructor once a week, but
Mhm.
we're not going to do a lot of working out because I want you to continue to be a kid. You just turned 12 in October. Be a kid. You just went through a long spree season, your first middle school, because my daughter is kind of late. So she
Okay.
played her
Yeah.
first middle school season and now a travel season. So go rest, be a kid. Like today, she went to the mall with her friends. Go be a
Mhm.
kid. Typical Saturday, hey, we're gonna get this work in.
Yeah.
But go be a kid. Dad ain't gonna bother you. Just we gotta pick up the
Mhm.
leaves in the front yard. But Probably right after Christmas, going into the new year, we'll ramp it up with speed and agility, and start to really get back into the lab. We'll start indoor and then get back into the full practice process so that we can get ourselves ready to go for a very eventful spring season in terms of there. And so me and Bailey, we have goals as an individual player, that we have set that she's written down. And so she'll go towards those goals. Like again, I'll give you one. She wants to be a better pitcher, you know, and specifically lean into first pitch strikes. My daughter tends to throw first pitch balls, which as a coach drives me nuts. You know, hey, I want to get ahead in the count, but you know,
Yeah.
she's a young pitcher and she's
Hmm.
learning that part of the game there. But that's some things that we're from a goal perspective to go back to your question.
Okay. Okay. How important is it to have a good coaching staff?
That's man, that's critical, right? You could be a talented team and have some bad coaching, you can't win, right?
Hmm.
So if you don't have good coaching, to me, it's the difference between good and great, right? If you
Yeah.
don't have a talented, a cohesive, um, very educated acumen, someone that knows the game, coaching staff, that could be a big win, but a big difference between the win and the loss here, right?
Hmm.
And that's how, again, as I stated, your players emulate your coach. And so if you ain't got a coach that knows the game, understands the game, growing the game, teaching them the game, how do you expect them to get better?
Hmm.
You know, and I'll be full transparent. One of them, I've had a lot of my end of season conversations, and parents gave us feedback or gave me feedback on coaching. And you know what? As a coach and as a leader, you got to be able to take the feedback and be able to apply it. Now, you know, I was like, okay, that's a good point from a coaching standpoint. And so, you know, I'm very intentional and holding my coaches accountable again that we won't be complacent. And so, coaches will be going to NFCA. We're going to be on the hunt of how do we get better, right? We all did the coaches clinic at the University of Tennessee in Knoxville last spring. We're going to go again. We're going to go to Arkansas. That's how you continue to get better as a coaching staff, right? As I said, this game is very innovative. It's continuing to evolve, and you as a coach, we got to continue to learn and get better at this game, and to be able to translate that to the girls, right? And
Hmm.
if you're not educating yourself and trying to grow vertically of learning this game, these girls are not going to grow.
Yep.
And so
Exactly.
you can't be complacent with it. I'm gonna just keep saying it. I'm allergic to complacency. We won't be complacent. And so if I go to these camps and I learn one thing or two things, that's good. We're
Hmm.
gonna get better,
Yeah.
right? Versus teaching them the older stuff or stuff that's outdated. Like I said, this game is evolving, it's innovative, it's growing. And so I want to make sure that the coaching staff that I have. And shouts out to my coach, my two coaches, Coach Kevin, crazy guy, but great guy, knows the game. And then Coach Justin, shouts out to them. Um, Two great coaches in terms of there. And the thing I'm doing is, I'm always trying to get better is that I'm gonna have a coach that's not a coach our team and give us objective feedback. So,
Hmm.
you know, that'll help us get better and they'll give us objective voice. Because sometimes we can get tunnel vision, Levi, right? We've been
Yep.
coaching this team for a couple of seasons. But if I
Hmm.
could bring in an external coach and say, hey, can you go coach our team and tell us what your thoughts on what we need and this and that? That's another input, right? You
Yeah.
get all these
Yep.
inputs and you make decisions off these inputs there. And that's, continue to better yourself, continuous learning, continuous development so that you can train these girls to be the best.
Hmm. So not saying you're a bad coach or nothing, man. Before I say this question, what's one thing you can do that can make you a better coach?
What can I do better? God, man, man, you must have been listening to my parents, man. Um, um, what can I do better? I think always, um, to me, in-game coaching can always get better. Um, I think from a process and a preparation, I can get with the best of them.
Hmm.
I do. the Facebook stalking, the game changer stalking. You can do all that stuff. Like, I
Mhm.
gave my coaches when we played you guys. I mean, I can show you the notes I had on the entire hustle team, right? I'm really big on process and due diligence there. I think I can get better in game situations when they're fluid. And so even when you ask me that scenario, that's why I was asking all those questions
Mhm.
because I could think of scenarios in game where I probably didn't make the right or best decision for the team, and it probably didn't result. The outcome wasn't the result that I expected. And so I think, as always, I can be a better in game coach in terms of managing the game, being very fluid in the midst of the game. Right,
Mhm.
that's what I want to get better as a coach, and so that's something that I'm asking. I got a couple of questions that I wrote down when I go to Dallas. I got some questions that I'm gonna ask some of these higher end coaches,
Yeah.
especially in game scenarios, right?
Mhm.
Because these games are so close, and you know, one missed call, one bad call, one bad sign can have colossal effects on determining if you're going to win or lose the game there. So, be very humble. I want to be better as an in-game coach there in terms of
Okay. Okay. What's some advice you would give your younger self?
that. Advice for my, I mean, that's a phenomenal, phenomenal question. Couple of words of advice that I would give to my, um, embrace the experiences, right? Um, I would I would say that's very critical um, to me. Just embracing what has happened.
Mhm.
Um, learn from your mistakes. You're going to make a lot of them. Don't be too hard on yourself. Um, learn from it in terms of that. And I think the first couple of seasons, I really struggled with that. I'm not a perfectionist, but I am a competitor.
Mhm.
And so, you know, probably some early losses made me do some knee jerk reactions. I would say now I'm better at that. Um, but in terms of that, um, continue to surround yourself with people that believe in the vision that you have. I think that is very critical because that's going to continue um, um, to drive the team forward. And I didn't say this, and I really need to. I didn't say this when you asked me why I went to Mojo, but it's really critical. I'm really strong into my faith, and
Mhm.
my daughter has really leaned into it. My oldest daughter, she um, kicked, made the decision on her own. She wanted to be baptized right before the state championship, and me and my wife fully supported it. But just continue to trust and make sure it's okay to trust in your faith and
Mhm.
believe in that. But I would say one is just really embrace it. Um, it's okay to make the mistakes that you did. You're gonna fail, and it's okay. It's how do you learn from the failure,
Mhm.
and continue just to really trust. That trust is really critical, and like I said, the one trusting the people that have that same vision as you. Um, because I would tell you. Um, I gained some great relationships going through this process, but also I probably lost some great relationships going through this process as well, Levi, to be fully transparent. And like I said,
Mhm.
it's really bigger than softball in terms of this experience that I've been going through in terms of that.
Okay. I got one final question, man. This
Yeah.
other than me bothering people, going up to people, asking them to be on my podcast. I got this one question right here. Who
Yeah.
would you like to see on the podcast? But there's a but to it.
hmm
Whoever you say, you have to help me get your answer on the podcast.
Man,
So you got to be able to shoot them a message now.
um, God, that's a good question. Who would I want to see on? I want to hear from, to be brutally honest, now that I'm going through this process, especially with my older daughter. I want to hear um, 2 people. I would say one a college coach. Um, and I don't care. We can reach out to the new coaches. Uh, the Merlot, I think that's how you say their last name because they're from New Orleans. The coaches at Auburn or one of the I would say a high end college coach.
Hmm.
Um, oh, you know what? Here's a good one. Here's a good one. I think you can call out because this is really good. And I've seen the last thread on this. One of the directors, so like Chad or Jeff,
Hmm.
I want to really talk to them and really get their thought process of how they manage these large, like if it's an alliance director or a PGF,
Hmm.
will want to hear from one of these tournament directors, right? And just get the thought process from them of how they manage these big events, what goes into manage them. Um, if it's from securing fields to recruiting teams, marketing, what goes into the cost, all of this, right?
Hmm.
You know, and then because they got so many, you got Alliance, you got USA, you got PGF, you got
They
U
got
Trip.
they
It's
got a
so much, man.
yeah,
You're
PGF going
competing
on
with
here now.
correct, right? And
Hmm.
so, right, all of these big tournaments, we're all trying to play, right?
Yeah.
In Texas, and I'm not saying that you're big PGF here in Georgia, U Trip, whatever,
Hmm.
but how do you get us all together? All these great teams, how you get us all together and talk about it. So I
Yeah.
don't mind. I thought Chad was great. What happened to Arkansas? I could shoot him a text. Um,
Oh,
and
Chad, my
then
guy.
yeah,
Chad, my
Chad,
guy.
and then the same thing with Jeff,
Jeff,
right?
yeah.
Jeff, you guys are both PGF. Won't you guys come on and
Hmm.
you talk to us and educate us on these tournaments, right? You got this
Hmm.
big one in Indiana. You
Yeah.
got these big ones. Look, we got the Mojo Invitational with Jeff coming in the spring next year,
Hmm. We
right?
got the
So
hustle one here
the
too.
hustle one, the big hustle one that
Yeah.
I'm trying to get
You trying
down
to
there,
get
Levi.
the car? You trying to get
I'm
out here,
trying,
man?
man. Hey man, I'm trying to become national, man.
Yeah,
We
I
got
hear
these
you. I
big
hear you.
things, you know. But a good coach, and then a good coach, he reached out to me one time, so I'm a big fan of Jeff Wilkerson. Get Thunderbolts coach on here, let him
Okay.
talk. I
Hmm.
don't mind calling him, get him out. Um, all shouts out to all my Georgia coaches. Um, I admire and respect all of them. That's why I didn't want to call out Georgia coach. Then they can
Hmm.
yell at me, man, Amari, you could have called me out. So let me go outside of Georgia and say, Thunderbolts, Jeff Wilkerson, he reached out to me when they had some tournaments in the fall that I couldn't play in because I was like, hey, man, we're in middle school. I can't play in your tournament.
Hmm.
But thanks for reaching out. And really, yeah, Thunderbolts has a good program, and so it'll be good to hear and give a perspective of Alabama team there. So, hey,
Hmm.
Jeff, calling you out, man. Pull up,
Pull up, Mr.
pull
Wilkerson.
up.
All right,
So,
hey,
yeah,
Imari, man, it was great, man, hearing from you, man. Like I've heard things about the team. Heard never got a chance to meet you. Got a chance to meet you.
yeah,
You agreed to be on the podcast. That's one thing I always appreciate, and
yeah,
actually going through with it, man. Because I get a lot of yeah, 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 and then
yeah.
nothing. So, man, I really appreciate you dropping on all my listeners, man, giving them the knowledge, all your good
Mhm.
knowledge. Hopefully, they don't be stealing all your mojo, but I
Yeah,
really appreciate it, man. I really appreciate you being on the podcast, man.
no, I look, Levi, look, appreciate it. Look, man, keep doing what you're doing, man. This is
Hmm.
phenomenal, man. What you're doing, really admire it. It's the great thing that you're doing for these lovely softball girls. This
Hmm.
2012 and just all the softball community. I'm not gonna say
Hmm.
2012, just the softball community. What you are doing there, and to the softball community, man. Support this brother and what he's doing. This is an awesome thing that he's doing. So please give them the support that we can continue to get this and continue to promote your awesome podcast here. And then look, all the softball coaches, softball families, softball players, man, thank you guys. What you guys do investing in these girls, creating these opportunities for these girls, the parents, the coaches, and to the girls, keep doing what you do. I admire all of you guys, all the coaches. I admire you guys from afar, Don't think I don't. I look and see what you're doing, and know that Mojo is going to continue to come and compete with the best of the best. We want to be the best of the best. We are the one of the best of the best, but we got work to do. We got work to
Mhm.
do, man. Look, shout out to Hustle. We had a great game. Hustle beat us,
Yeah.
and but it was a good learning to compete with an awesome team. So the Hustle team, the Hustle coaches, Levi, you guys got a phenomenal team as well, man. So I
Thank you.
really
Thank you.
appreciate all of you guys too.
All right, man. Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you, man. Hope you
Mhm,
have a good one.
mhm. Yep, you too, man. Have a great
Uh,
great evening. Go
all right.
Eagles football, Philadelphia
Oh,
Eagles,
I
baby.
don't.
Go Eagles.
My team is terrible. I'm a Browns fan, so my team is terrible. I'm worse than the Cowboys around here,
Yeah,
man.
yeah, yeah. Go talk Cowboys. Yeah, man. We don't like the Cowboys in Philly, man. So, yeah. Hey, thanks, Levi. Have an awesome day, man. Appreciate you, sir.
All right, man. All right, man. Appreciate you. All right. Shout out
Later,
Big Chef. I see you, man. Appreciate the
Big
support, my
chat.
boy. All right, man.
Later.
All right. Hey, Big Chef, man. I see you, bro. See your classmate. Again, man, want to shout out my sponsor, Steve Aguado, Hustle Team, Scrappers, Texas Scrappers Baseball Academy. Hey, everybody right here, be great. One, good love. Make sure y'all go hit the subscribe button. Hit the subscribe, like this video, share this video. All right, catch y'all later.